Marinaro, the Sick Podcast, the Montreal Canadiens opened up a 5-game road trip with a stint in Nashville tonight. And guess what? The Montreal Canadiens not only won, the Montreal Canadiens were very impressive in doing so. What a game by the Canadiens. Unfortunately, the shutout was spoiled for Jacob Fowler with a Predators goal late in the hockey game. But guess what? The Canadiens played as close to a perfect game you can on the road. There was one or two things that I'm sure probably concerned Pierre McGuire when it comes to intimidation hockey and other teams going after some of the Canadiens' best players. We're going to talk about that. But once again, what a big night. And tonight, it wasn't the first line that was the line that carried the Canadiens, although they were very good. But it was the second line that came up big. And Demidov was feeling it tonight. Boy, oh boy, was he ever. First star of the hockey game for Demidov. 1 goal, 1 assist. Fowler stops 23 of 24. He's your second star. Slafkovsky's your third star. We'll break it all down. We'll talk about it. A big win by the Canadiens. Islanders also won. So did Buffalo. So did Boston. Columbus lost. Detroit's losing after 2 periods of play. We'll talk about it all right here on your Habs post-game show. Pierre McGuire joins me right off the bat, and Jack Hahn, former development coach with Toronto Maple Leafs organization, assistant coach with the Toronto Marlies, will join me to break down this hockey game as well. Probably join us in about 30 minutes from now. Stay tuned. We're coming up in 3 short minutes. I'm Marinaro.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-k, S-I-C-k,
S-I-C-K,
S-I-C-k,
S-I-C-K,
S-I-C-k, S-I-C-k.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro,
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
the sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the fall!
Sports entertainment, like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Huge win. What a win. This is the way to start off a 5-game road trip. You win the first game and you get everyone feeling good about themselves and you try and start a little bit of a momentum going. Unbelievable performance by the Canadiens tonight. I'm sure Pierre McGuire will be equally impressed. He's brought to you by Vago, open 23 years. Longevity, not many restaurants open that long. Private dining rooms for any occasions, birthdays, engagements, corporate meetings, plenty of free parking after 6, open Monday to Saturday evenings and lunch Tuesday to Friday. Fresh quality ingredients, old world Italian classics and new Italian. Come see Tommaso, most popular man in Westmount at the front of the house. His partner, Angelo, at the back of the house. It's something that you ask for. You want me to go all the time. Not only post-game shows, not only have post-game shows during the week, but you also want them on the weekend. So here I am on a Saturday night. I'm working, and my wife's chances are my wife's going to end up leaving me, but as long as you're happy, it's only going to cost me a couple $1 million. Without further ado, let's bring in Pierre McGuire.
The McGuire Report. Presented by Vago Italian.
Hopefully she doesn't leave me, Pierre. It's never fun. How are you?
She's not leaving you. I'm doing fantastic. I'm feeling giddy. Love the way the Canadiens dominated in the offensive zone. Love the way Fowler hung in there. There's a lot to like. The second line obviously was producing with Newhook looking so good, and Demidov was really feeling it, and Kapanen was outstanding. And you look at the way they transitioned, the puck was really good. There was a lot to like. I know there are people going to nitpick. They didn't like this. They didn't like that. There was 95% of that game was total domination by the Montreal Canadiens.
Pierre, this is versus a team that's battling for a playoff spot themselves. So, you know what? Not easy going into this game, all things considering.
No, it wasn't easy, but they looked terrible. Nashville looked like the team that we were used to seeing for the first 35 games of the season. They looked unorganized. They looked terrible in their own zone. They're lucky that, their goaltender was really good. But outside, I tell you right now, Montreal made them look really bad. Montreal went full Globetrotters on them, and they dominated. Montreal was really good tonight.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think it was Adam Vingan who covers the Nashville Predators. Do we have a tweet that he put out a couple of days ago talking about the Predators who were 7-2-1 in their last 10 games? But he said there's stuff to be concerned about. At 5-on-5 over the past 10 games that they were 7-2-1. NHL ranks per 60 minutes since March 5th. Odd man rushes, 23rd. Shot quality, 26th. Inner slot shots on net, 27. Completed passes to the slot, 29th. Offensive zone possession, 30th. Goals saved above expected. That's where they're first. Pierre, they've been getting wins in their last 10, but the advanced stats show that they probably shouldn't have been getting those wins.
Yeah, with all due respect to the advanced stats, I don't need those. If I watch the games, I know what's going on, and their in-zone coverage is pathetic, and it isn't going to get any better anytime soon. They're playing in Tampa tomorrow night. I wish them the best of luck. I watched Tampa dismantle Ottawa the last 40 minutes of their game after being down 2-0 today. Nashville's only in the hunt right now, and I'll be totally frank with you because the Western Conference is awful. It's not a little bit bad. It's really bad. So I give them a lot of credit for hanging in there, but they're a very flawed team. Nashville. That's not Montreal's fault. Montreal played great. Montreal was outstanding. They did everything they were supposed to do tonight. Tony, you nailed it. It's the best way to start a 5-game trip. They should have tons of momentum going into Carolina tomorrow night.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that, Pierre. Once again, the Columbus Blue Jackets lost earlier today. Detroit are down by a score 3-0 after 2 versus Philadelphia. Boston, Buffalo, the Islanders, and Montreal won. So there you have it. If you're wondering what happened earlier today, Oh, by the way, I should add that Tampa Bay won. They beat the Ottawa Senators. So Tampa Bay wins and Ottawa loses. You can add that as well.
Yeah, Ottawa's in trouble. I watched the entire game. I did the post-game show in Ottawa with Alex Adams. You know, the truth of the matter is Ottawa had a great start. Ottawa looked fantastic. The first 20 minutes of the game, Tampa looked bad. Ottawa looked great. And the last 40, it was just total role reversal, bad penalties by key players, whether it's Brady Tkachuk or Drake Batherson, faulty defensive zone coverage. Tampa's really good, as you know, and when they want to play, and they wanted to play the last 40, they were tough to play against. But this is good on the scoreboard for Montreal. They're in a real good spot. I expect they're just going to continue to evolve. There's some things that need to be ironed out with their group. They know that. They know that. The physicality part. You know, when you see Luke Evangelista running around and trying to challenge Montreal Canadiens players, and you see Nick Hague, why do you think Nick Hague is not in Vegas anymore? Because he didn't do that stuff. So, I mean, come on. Let's get real here. One of the big messages that Marty St. Louis sent out today was when there was a penalty at the end of the game and Evangelista had to serve it. He put his first power play out with a 4-1 lead with less than 2 minutes to go.
I saw that, Pierre. And you know what? It's funny. It's one of the things I want to ask you about, Pierre. Like, I know that you want, there's some milestones there. There's some career highs, and there are probably some bonuses that are kicking to kick in. You know, Suzuki wants his 100 points. He won't say it publicly. Everyone knows that Caulfield would love to have 50 goals. Everyone knows that Slafkovsky would love to have 30. Is he doing it to put them in confidence, or is he doing it because he said to the Nashville Predators, you know what? I don't like what you did to us tonight. I don't like what you tried to do to us tonight. If I can embarrass you by putting in one more goal, I will. What was the message, Pierre? Talk to me.
I think it was a combination, and you nailed it on the bonus part. I've been on benches before where you ask the guys, anybody got a bonus for this? Anybody got a bonus for that? And a lot of guys would be very shy in those days to put their hand up, but most of their teammates would say, yeah, get them out there. You know, I remember one instance, Randy Gillen in New York at Madison Square Garden. I think he had a bonus for 12 or 15 points because he was a shutdown guy. He was a checker. He was a faceoff specialist. And Bob Johnson put him on the top power play, and I think eventually he got his bonus, which was great. But I think the other part, he did that because you had enough. He had had enough with what was going on. He had just had enough.
All right, Pierre, you know what? I know it's going to come up. And by the way, you brought it up last game. Some players are starting to take liberties. And you saw that last game, of course, where Wood went after Hudson, where, of course, Dobish got his neck crashed last game as well. Yep. And you weren't very happy about it. And you talked about it. And you said the reason why other teams are trying stuff like this is because they know they can. Well, some of that stuff happened again tonight, Pierre. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's got to get fixed. It's going to have to be, rectified in the dressing room. Whether they have to call up, whomever they think their toughest players in the American Hockey League, they're not going to be able to make any deals now. They don't own any draft picks that are really like that right now. Arbor's not playing. We all know that he probably is not viewed as an important asset right now by the team. So he's not playing. Struble tried today at the end of the game, but it's more lip service than it is physicality from him. But I will say this about Struble. He's playing a lot better. I think you know that. So I'm happy about that for him and for the team, which is great. And he's helped Lane a little bit. But that, you're going to see it. I will tell you right now, you will see a constant array of this kind of behavior. You're going to see it the rest of the way. Tony, I told you this the other day. Nobody wanted to believe me. People get paid a lot of money to sit in tape rooms and break down organizational strengths and weaknesses. Nobody wants to share that with you because, with all due respect to all the hockey insiders, none of them have ever worked in a dressing room. They don't know, okay? They just don't know how to game plan. They don't know what goes on in tape rooms. All they do, if there weren't people leaking to them, they would never have information for you. So that's what they know, and they're good at it. But they don't know tactics, and they don't know how tape's broken down. And I'm just bringing you truly inside.
Well, thanks for doing that, Pierre. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a look at the Montreal Canadiens lineup in this game tonight? Suzuki with Slafkovsky and Caulfield, Kapanen with Demidov and Newhook, Evans with Anderson and Bolduc, Deneau with Gallagher and Veleno. So Veleno's still in for Alex Texier-Pierre. Matheson, Dobson, Gooley, Carrier, Struble, Hudson, Fowler and goal. Pierre, Josh Anderson left this game. We're hearing that he's under the weather. It's going around. It's been going around for a while. It's going around throughout the entire National Hockey League. I think a lot of people watching right now on YouTube, Facebook, on Twitter, on the YouTube chat are saying, if Anderson can't go tomorrow and Texier can't go tomorrow, Pierre, your options really are going with 7D and 11 forwards because, of course, Patrick Laine is still on injured reserve.
Oh, you can't recall? I think you still have 4 recalls.
Well,
left.
yes, you obviously, yes, you have an emergencies recalls that you can do, of course.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
I know Laval lost tonight. I understand they lost tonight, 3-1, I believe was the score. Yeah. I think it's not that hard to fly from Montreal to Raleigh.
I hear you. My buddy Robert Nelson sent me a text message. He said, you know what? It would be an opportune time to try Arbor Jack Guy. At forward. Why don't I said, Robert, it hasn't happened up until now. It's not going to happen.
There might be another Jack Guy you can bring up. I'll tell you one thing, and you watch their games like I watch their games.
Yeah.
I would love to see that Arsenault kid come up.
Vincent Arsenault, yeah. And by the way, yes, 3 straight losses for the Laval Rocket, who lost by a score of 3-1 to, of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins American Hockey League team. Yeah. And Vincent Arsenault is tough as nails. He's a guy that can definitely defend his teammates, no doubt about it. That's what he does down in Laval, Pierre.
You just send one. It doesn't have to be the whole game, but if the other team knows he's dressed, I think you'll see a little less of that nonsense. That being said, you talk about Laval, and I know we're supposed to talk about NHL. This Avery Hayes kid that Pittsburgh owns, he's in Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's a heck of a player. He's not real big, and he tries like heck to start off. He wants to be an igniter, a starter, and he does. He does a real good job. I just wish he was a little bigger, but he's a heck of a player. I know he had a good game tonight in Laval. I know that.
All right, Pierre, the Canadiens' magic number basically is 13. They're automatically going to gain a playoff spot if they pick up 13 in their final 10 games of the season. So if they can put together 6-3-1, this coming in from Guillaume Villemere of TVA Sports, they'd automatically be in, Pierre. So the magic number is 13.
But that can change real quickly too with other teams losing. Montreal goes into Carolina and a bunch of teams lose tomorrow and Monday.
The magic number could be less.
13 can go to 9 pretty quick. It can go to 8 pretty quick. So that's kind of what happens. It's not like what it is in baseball. It's just a little bit different.
Pierre, I don't think we can stress how important this win is, right? Because tomorrow night versus Carolina, let's be honest, and the game is played on the ice and anything can happen. Tomorrow night ends up being 2 games and 2 nights. I know you said the travel's not terrible. I get that. But it also ends up becoming 3 games and 4 nights as well, right? Yeah. And it's also versus a team, Carolina, that you beat here earlier in the week. And I don't think they liked the way they lost. They outshot the Canadiens, by the way, big time. Jakub Dobiš stood on his head. They didn't appreciate losing 5-2 to the Canadiens. They're going to be waiting for the Canadiens tomorrow night, Pierre. Big time.
Well, you are right, sir. You're having a good night. You should head over to Playground. You're having a heck of a night.
I'll try.
Maybe. No, you are. You're having a heck of a night. So I agree with everything you just said, Tony. Here's one more thing. Montreal should be going to that game thinking we may have to play these guys in the first round of the playoffs. That's not off the table yet either. And that's why I'm saying I would be sending messages tomorrow if I'm Montreal. Not like crazy stuff and not going out to goon it up, but I'd show matchups on Sebastian Aho. I'd be hard on him. I'd show matchups on Keandre Miller because I'm watching him play and I've been watching him a lot. He's starting to get subtly more confident physically. He's going to log big minutes. I want him to know he's going to have a rough ride every time he goes back to get the puck. I'm going right after Jacob Slavin. I'm sending him a message the rest of the year. Dude, we know how important you are. We're going to punish you every time you're on the ice. I get it. I'm not trying to be – I'm not a goon coach. But there's certain things you got to do to message send. And if I'm Montreal as much as Carolina wants to send a message, if I'm Montreal, I want to send a bigger message.
You know what? I think I'm going to make a comment that you're probably going to agree with as well. And then we'll see if I really am having a good night. Joe Veleno is doing everything he has to do to make it difficult to be taken out of this lineup, and he's doing everything that he has to do to try and have a job somewhere in the National Hockey League next year. If it's not going to be with the Canadiens, it's going to be with another team. Everything. Okay, if he would score and finish off his chances, that would be everything. But he's trying to do as much as he can. Unfortunately for him, he's snake bitten. He started snake bitten, and he's going to finish snake bitten this season. There's no doubt about it. I would also add that if he was a 10-year veteran instead of a 6-year veteran and maybe a few more numbers, he would probably knock him out when everyone would be healthy. But chances are, he probably will, because he's probably an easy guy to take out. Now, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, Pierre, but I really loved Veleno's game tonight.
Short-handed. Think about the second period when the Canes got themselves into penalty trouble. He was outstanding. He and Suzuki were tremendous together. Hey, Nicky Suzuki played a heck of a game tonight. I don't know how much people are talking about it. Nicky was outstanding on the penalty kill. He was really good in the faceoffs. He was really strong running the power play.
I have to admit, I don't know why Suzuki wasn't the third star instead of Slafkovsky. I mean, Slafkovsky was good, but I didn't quite get that one, though.
Who picked the stars, by the way, in Nashville?
Jacob Fowler should not have been a star tonight. I mean, there weren't too many scoring chances that the Predators had that you said, that's a huge stop to keep his team in the game. They protected him really good. They blocked a lot of shots
tonight. I thought, you're right on. See, I'm not trying to look at. I know picking the stars is hard, and it really doesn't amount to much. But come on, watch the game. Like Fowler did what he had to do, but was that a hard game for him to play? I don't think so.
No, it was not a hard game for him to play.
He'll tell you the same thing. He'll say my defense was really good. The shot blocking by Canadiens tonight was very good. They didn't spend a lot of time defending in their own zone.
Yeah,
not a lot of high quality chances against, but he did his job. And the goal they scored was a bad luck goal. I mean, what are you going to do? It goes off the Zamboni door. And you know what's crazy, Tony?
Yeah.
Everybody that's ever been in that building a lot, I'm not talking 1 or 2 times, like 25 to 100 times. If you've been, you know that is a trouble spot. Like that's been going on there since the team was in the league.
Yeah.
And so he's a kid that he'll never make that mistake again. You know what I mean?
Thought,
so he'll learn from it. He'll just learn from it. That's all.
I thought the Canadiens' best players tonight were Nick Suzuki, the entire second line, and Caden Gooley. That's who I thought the Canadiens' best players were tonight.
Gooley was outstanding quietly. Gooley was a guy that was an eye test player tonight. I don't know what his numbers were, but I can tell you he played with a whole lot of vim, vigor, and vitality. He was a nasty piece of business to play against.
Caden Gooley, 17-23, 1 shot, 1 attempt blocked, 1 missed. He had 1 block shot in the hockey game. He was +3.
Yeah. So there you go. It's like this guy played hard. How many hits did he have, Tony?
No, unfortunately not for him. I don't see any hits.
That's baloney. I can tell you right now, that's a bunch of malarkey then.
Matheson had 5, leading the way for the Canadiens. Joe Veleno had 4.
Joe definitely was finishing checks. Joe was outstanding. I really thought he was good. Matheson was good. The whole defense was good. I didn't see any weak links back there tonight.
We will see if we can get some locker room reaction after this very important 4-1 win by the Canadiens in Nashville versus the Predators tonight. We talked about Jacob Fowler, who stopped 23 of 24. I don't know if we have a picture of his mask, Pierre, if you had a chance to see it. But if you didn't,
the Quebec license plate, I saw it.
There you have it. Let's see if we can bring it up for those who didn't. I
just sent it over. Used to be a little Floridian license plate. He's made the change.
He's made the license plate change, and there you have it. It's
We'll pay the tax for it too, Tony. Don't worry.
It's the Quebec license plate with Fowler in the back of his helmet, of course, and the Je me souviens. There you have it for Jacob Fowler with something underneath written, "Lights will guide you home."
Yeah.
Okay. There you have it.
Look at he's going to be a really good player for a long time in this organization. They're in good shape, Montreal, going forward. Very good shape.
Yeah, they really are, Pierre. Why don't we get to the scoring? But before we do, I want to tell you that the Sick Podcast, of course, is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, a leading asset-light 3PL that's driven to be different from cross-border freight between Canada, USA, and Mexico to coast-to-coast shipping in both Canada and the United States. Energy moves it all. They're fast, reliable, and powered by tech that delivers smarter logistics. If you need a road partner in transportation, contact the team at sick@shipenergy.com and see how Energy Transportation Group is changing the freight game. Also, It's hockey night at Playground. As if watching hockey wasn't thrilling enough, now every goal means more action on the felt. Before the puck drops, every poker table is randomly assigned the player for the Montreal team. And when your player scores, boom, Playground splashes the next pot with up to $200 in chips. Catch every game on Playground's big screens all around the room, so you never miss a goal of play or a splash pot. Visit playground.ca/sickpodcast or click the link in the YouTube description to spin a virtual wheel for a chance to win up to $100 in free play. Also, a shout out to the Geloso Beverage Group and Bittt Tibi for big games. You want the best beers on your team, whether it's Bittt Tibi IPA with its bold flavor, Bittt Tibi Lager with its exceptional smoothness, or Bittt Tibi Ultra Lager, which is ultra light and ultra refreshing. They always have a place on your team. Bittt Tibi, brewed for special occasions. Please drink responsibly. Can we bring up the scoring for tonight? And period number 1. There you have it. Okay. Ivan Demidov, 11:34 into this hockey game. Pierre, you can tell like right off the bat that Demidov was feeling it tonight. Like he was going by guys, passing the puck to himself. He was in one of those moods. And look, for a while there, like he was Mr. Saturday Night tonight. Pierre, Brendan Gallagher chases down a loose puck, turns, passes to Joe Veleno, a snapshot. I thought Joe Veleno had like a good 3 quality scoring chances in tonight's game. That's one of them. There was a 2-on-1 with Suzuki, a puck that hopped over his stick.
That was a short-handed opportunity. You're right.
There was another breakaway where he broke away. He was chased, though, but he broke away, and there was a blocker save. There were a couple by him. Slav breakaway. Saros tries to get Saros to lean one way and just lob it the other, but a glove save by Saros. Newhook and Demidov on a 2-on-1. Newhook passes to Demidov, but the pass is picked off. Suzuki, Pierre, going to the bench to change. There's a turnover in the neutral zone. Puck falls right to Suzuki. He passes it up to Demidov, and his quick shot, Pierre, hard wrister right off the post and in. Demidov basically coming down the right side, left-handed shot. 1-0 Montreal. Pierre, once again, he was feeling it, Pierre.
He was. He had extra jump in his step. There's no question. That was a ridiculous line change by the Nashville Predators. That was a malfunction at the junction on that goal. No question. That gave Demidov more time and space. They didn't know who should be off the ice and who should be on the ice. So they basically froze as a group, talking about Nashville. But he took advantage. And I can tell you one thing, and most players around the league know this. It's hard to beat Saros' far side because his angle play is so good. And so you saw that was just a perfect shot off the post and in. So that's a great play by Demidov.
You're right about that, Pierre. He's one of the smaller goaltenders in the National Hockey League. He's about 5'11". When you beat him, you usually go upstairs. He usually has the bottom of the net really, really well covered. So good play by you on that one. All right, we continue. There's something that happened in period number 1 where I said, the way the game was going, I said, okay, Pierre McGuire, he'll be happy tonight because the Canadiens tonight didn't do something that they've been guilty of for a couple of months, and that is start slow. 13 minutes into period number 1, the shots on goal were 8-1 for the Canadiens, Pierre. So they were reversed. Like the last week was not good to the Canadiens in terms of starts. Tonight was a good start, Pierre.
It was a great start. No, look at the team went Globetrotters on all of Nashville. They were the better team by a mile. Everybody that watched the game knows that. Their speed was apparent. Their skill level was apparent. Their passing was pinpoint. It was precise as all get out. Their passing was fantastic. So, Tony, it was fun to watch them play. Really fun to watch them play tonight.
All right, Pierre. Evangelista tries to take Lane Hudson to the outside, and Jacob Fowler pokes the puck away. Evangelista crashes right into him. And I know when Boone Jenner did it last game, Pierre, you weren't happy. And I know you wanted a different reaction. Lane Hudson goes right after Evangelista. Last game, when Lane Hudson was taking exception when, once again, Jenner crashed Dolbesh, you weren't happy, and you said that shouldn't be up to Lane Hudson to do that. Tonight, Lane Hudson is on the ice with Dobson and the Canadiens' number 1 line. Talk to me, Pierre.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's a recipe for disaster. You'll see it. He can't keep doing this. I admire that young man so much. He's a tremendous talent. All you have to do is watch the game. Brian Leach wasn't doing that stuff in New York. Scotty Niedermayer wasn't doing that stuff in New Jersey. Like, your star player can't be doing that stuff. It's great that he shows up, and it's great that he's got the courage and the moxie to do it. He's not big enough to do that. His career will shrink exponentially. If he's doing this every single night, just tell him it's not going to work.
When they have an impressive performance like this, is it something that Marty St. Louis addresses after the game? If he didn't address it after the period, or does he talk to his team tomorrow morning as they probably go over some last-minute video in preparation for the Carolina Hurricanes, Pierre? And how does he approach this? What does he say?
Leadership core comes into his office. It's not you don't want to make it a drama thing. So you bring in Suzuki, you bring in Michael Matheson, who's got a big voice, and you say, fellas, one of the things we're seeing, we're going to have to nip it in the bud. And maybe you can talk to the players about it. We got to be a little bit more robust in terms of defending our better players, and we got to be a little bit more robust defending our goal area. And you don't make it a drama thing. If you overreact as a coach, you'll have a problem. You'll have a big problem. You can't do that. So I personally have seen it done where you just bring the leadership, and the leadership sorts it out. They're going to go from Carolina down south. Hopefully they can spend a little time as a group, and that's probably where they're going to sort it. I don't think they'll sort it out tonight on the plane. I don't think they'll talk about it tomorrow going into Carolina. I think when they start heading down to Florida, that's when you'll probably see some of that happen.
All right, okay. We'll discuss that. Back to the scoring we go. If we can bring back up the score sheet. Thank you very much. So Ivan Demidov with the lone goal in period number 1. And Nashville takes a penalty late in period number 1. Second period, Habs on the power play. Caulfield back to Hudson at the point. A slap pass by Hudson, redirected by Slavkovsky. A save by Saros. Kapanen forces the puck carrier. Turnover goes to Hudson, to Kapanen, to Newhook in the slot shot. Glove save, rebound to Kapanen, to Newhook, around Saros, back in front to Kapanen, Pierre. After Demidov scores the goal to give the Canadiens a 1-0 lead, that line of Kapanen, Demidov, and Newhook score again. This time it's Kapanen to give the Canadiens a 2-0 lead, Pierre.
The composure of Alex Newhook in that situation was phenomenal. I've not known him to be that type of a player, but clearly his skill development has been enhanced being in Montreal. He showed composure, he showed confidence, he showed peripheral vision, and he makes a great play in a very traffic kind of area to get the puck to Kapanen, and all he has to do is just slide it, overwhelm a couple guys physically in the slot, but just slide it to the back of the net. That whole thing happened because of Newhook. That was a spectacular hockey play by Newhook.
You're right, Pierre. When I saw it, I said that's a lot of poise, because a lot of other players, they get excited when they're within a couple of feet of the goalie and they're going to shoot right away. He showed poise. It's almost like he was seeing it all develop in slow motion in front of him.
I think most of the Canadian players, Tony, were like that tonight. They just had this ability with the puck tonight where they were just so comfortable, and that's a great example right there of what Newhook's composure and peripheral vision and ability to make that play to Kapanen.
Flyers are up by a score of 4-0 on the Detroit Red Wings, Pierre, so it looks like they're going to lose.
Can you imagine the noise?
This race, Pierre, they won in Buffalo last night. They won in Buffalo, the Red Wings, last night, and tonight they lose at home versus Philadelphia.
Oh, I can't even imagine. So this is a message for all those people in Philly, if we have any cross-border viewers. I think Rick Tocchet's a pretty good coach. Back off. He knows what he's doing. They're back in the hunt. Philly could make the playoffs.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? No, I don't think you're going to make the playoffs either. I don't want to speak for you, Pierre. But that team, compared to a lot of teams in the National Hockey League, the Philadelphia Flyers are 5 points out of a wild card.
Yep.
I think all the teams ahead of Philadelphia by 4 points, 5 points, they're much better than Philly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pierre.
No, on paper they are 100%.
On paper, Philly's very, very average.
They are.
He's getting a lot out of that team.
He's done an amazing job. I'm so proud of Rick. But all that being said, that's got to be an awful feeling in Detroit. I don't know how this thing's gone off the rails like it has, because you talk about good coaches. Yanni's a good coach. He coaches their defense. McClellan's a really good coach. He coaches up front. Tanguay's really good with special teams. Their coaching staff in Detroit's good. It's not a little bit good. It's real good. And I just don't know how this. I know they had some injuries, and I know Larkin was out for a while. I know Kopp was out for a while. But that's no excuse. Everybody has injuries.
Yeah, the Bruins impressed me too. I did not expect them to have the same amount of wins as the Canadiens and just a couple of points behind. They impressed me.
Yeah, Sturm's done a heck of a job. Marco's done a really good job. Steve Spott's done a fantastic job with their special teams, especially their power play. Chris Kelly's always been good on the penalty kill. They've had, I think Swayman's goaltending has been great, Tony, and part of that is because he didn't have to fight his contract out this year. He was no good last year, Tony, and a big reason why he missed training camp. He didn't miss training camp this year. He's ready to play.
Before we bring in Jack Han, who's going to make his debut right here on the Habs postgame show, and once again, he is a regular collaborator with me on my show en français du lundi au vendredi. À 10h le matin, Jack est avec moi tous les mardis et tous les jeudis vers environ 11h30, 11h40. Donc, il va être avec moi dans quelques minutes. Mais avant de le faire, Shane Gaumont on Master Control, can you bring up the standings as we speak? Can you do that? Or would you rather we do it by the end of the show after everything's a final? Because we can do that too. I can definitely say what they are for now. The Buffalo Sabres are number 1 in the division. The Tampa Bay Lightning are number 2 in the division. And, of course, the Montreal Canadiens are number 3 in the division. Tampa, 2 points behind Buffalo with a couple of games in hand. Should Tampa win their games in hand and obviously surpass Buffalo, and the Canadiens stay second or third end up being second or third in the Atlantic, at that point, the Canadiens' first-round opponent is going to be the Buffalo Sabres, who Logan Stanley hammered Shane Wright earlier tonight, putting an end to his night. He's there you have it. 98 Buffalo, 96 Tampa, 92 Montreal, and the wild card spots, Boston 90, Columbus 87. Detroit with 86, Ottawa with 86, Flyers with 82. They're all out of the playoff picture right now, but obviously chasing.
One subtle reminder for the folks at home, Detroit at 72, that's not registered with their game tonight. So once they get that game done tonight, they're losing. That becomes 73.
That is correct.
That's pretty significant because now you can tell they are running out of racetrack. That's less than 10 games. They're gonna be in trouble, man. I'm telling you.
Pierre, once again, anything can happen on this road trip, but you got to feel pretty good about the Canadiens' chances of making it at this point.
Yeah, I thought the first 3 games would be important for Montreal, and I really felt if they could take 4 of the 6 points, they already have 2 out of the potential 6. If they could take 4 out of 6 to start the trip, that's enough. That's going to get it done.
We talked about Veleno, Suzuki and Veleno on a 2-on-1. Suzuki passes the puck. It hops over Veleno's stick. Haula down the left side, bad angle, tries to beat Fowler, makes a save. Veleno, breakaway wrister, shot blocker side off the blocker. So there's a save by Saros there. Haula within 2 feet off the far goal post. Caulfield shows shot, but takes Clay to the inside, then shoots, saves Saros, and it actually skims off the post. Caulfield pressuring in the offensive zone, Pierre. We'll talk about him and what it led to as well. And, of course, Canadiens on a power play. Caulfield back to Hudson at the point. We talked about the slap pass by redirected by Slav and the save by Saros there. We're going to Caulfield had a strong forecheck, Pierre. There's a turnover by the Predators, picked up by Suzuki, pass to Caulfield, quick shot through Saros, 3-0 Montreal, Pierre. That was a huge, huge goal. And, of course, Demidov shoots, hits the post, picks up the puck, stick handles by Haula. A backhand pass through Yossi's legs to Newhook. Goal, 4-0. Jack Han is going to talk to us about what the Canadiens did to break down the Nashville forecheck, what the Canadiens did well tonight. We'll get to that in just a minute. And you talked about the Nashville goal, Pierre. There was a puck shot in the off the boards or the glass, took a favorable bounce. It landed right to Leroux. Open net for him, 4-1. And by the way, Leroux and Dobson collide late in the game. Dobson gets his elbow up. Leroux isn't happy. He wants to fight. The fight does not happen. The Canadiens tried to get another goal for Mr. Saturday Night down the stretch, but it didn't happen. The Canadiens win by a score of 4-1. Without further ado, Jack Han.
Jack Han.
Good evening, Jack.
Hey, Tony, how's it going?
Doing very well. Jack, I don't know if you've had the pleasure to meet Pierre McGuire before or if your paths have crossed, but Jack, Pierre, Jack.
Nice to meet you, Pierre. Michael Farber is a family friend, so I know that you and Michael are close as well.
Yeah, that's great, Jack. Good to visit with you.
Yeah.
Jack, once again, we've done the introduction before on obviously the French show and on this show as well, but sometimes the audience changes when it's a different format. This is the Habs post-game show. There are some that are actually seeing you for the first time, Jack, so a quick introduction.
So I grew up in Montreal, played my hockey here, did my university here, but I actually ended up working for Toronto Maple Leafs for a few years in player development. I was an assistant coach with their AHL team, the Marlies, and for the past 10 years, I've been working as a coach and also in player development. So, really happy to be here to talk hockey with you guys, talk more about the tactics and the X's and O's, and yeah.
Who hired you, Jack?
With Toronto. So actually, I was working with the McGill's women's hockey team as their video coach, and then Cal Dubas reached out and offered me a job in player development. This was back in 2017.
Pierre, you know what? When you work hard, word travels fast. To think that he's working with the women's team at McGill, and Kyle Dubas reaches out, Pierre. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. It's the way it should be. They should hire the very best people. Enough with friends and family. Hire the very best people. And if you do that, your chances of winning are much better than if you do it through friends and family.
Pierre, I want you to share your story. If memory serves me well, you're coaching at St. Lawrence University, and all of a sudden, there's a gentleman in the stands who's watching your practices.
Yeah, Scotty Bowman's daughter, Alicia, applied to school at St. Lawrence because Mike Keenan, who had gone there with Jacques Martin, had both told Scotty that Alicia should look at St. Lawrence. So Scotty wasn't working in the National Hockey League at that point. He was doing Hockey Night in Canada. This is 1988. And one day I'm running practice, and Scotty's in the rink, and I go back after practice. I'm in my office riding my bike, and there's Scotty Bowman walking in the door. I go, "Hi, Mr. Bowman, how you doing?" He goes, "Good. I'm here to look at the school. Let's talk." So we ended up talking and changing numbers. There were no cell phones back then. And sure enough, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, he says, "Look, I got a big interview with the New York Rangers. They want me to run the whole organization. I don't want to steal from St. Lawrence, but I'm really impressed with the way your practices go. Would you leave if I go to New York?" I said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, for sure I'll go." And one thing led to another. He didn't take the Ranger job, even though it was offered. He went to Pittsburgh later that year, and I was sitting on my couch in my apartment watching the press conference on ESPN News, believe it or not. And right after it was over, the phone rang in my kitchen, and it was Scotty. He said, "There's a plane ticket for you. You're going to fly from Ottawa to Toronto, and then I'll meet you in Toronto, and we're going to Vancouver for the draft. So get all your intel ready because we're going to hire you." That's how it happened.
Wow, pretty cool story.
Then we drafted a guy named Yager with the 5th overall pick. It worked out pretty well.
He's not too shabby. He's not too shabby.
Pretty well. We got
he mentioned
we traded our 2nd round pick to Calgary for Joey Mullen. That turned out pretty good too. So lots of good memories from the 1990 draft.
I think I saw this somewhere. He mentioned the last day or so, Yager did, that he's not officially retired yet, but at this stage of his career, they told him that he's going to get about 12 minutes. So he said, "You know what, 12 minutes with all the plane rides and the travel and all that stuff, it's not worth it. So I'll probably retire," because he doesn't want to play 12 minutes, Pierre.
No, he can't. Plus, he owns the team, too. I don't think he's going to want to do that. Yarmer's the hardest worker. Jack, I got to tell you, I know you do a lot of player development stuff. So you see a lot of kids that work really hard. In all my years, 37 of them in the National Hockey League, I've never seen a guy work harder than Yarmer Yager. Never.
Jose Theodore sent recently, I'm not so sure if it was on a podcast or on a radio hit, he said that here he is, he's retired. Jaromir Jagr's retired. Jose's in Las Vegas. He's outside. He looks outside from his balcony. It's 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. There's a guy in the pool with a hockey stick and weights on his ankles. And he's stick handling something in the pool at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. It's Jaromir Jagr, who many years after he's no longer playing in the National Hockey League, 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning at a pool outside in Vegas with a hockey stick in the pool and weights around his ankles.
Doesn't surprise me. I've skated thousands of hours with him. It doesn't surprise me at all. He's just addicted to being great. He is. And he was one of the first guys to run the stadium stairs with weighted vests. He spent hours. We used to have to kick him off the ice. Like sometimes Bob Johnson or Scotty would get mad at me. They're like, "You're staying out there too long with him." I go, "He just wants to skate. That's all he wants to do."
Wow, amazing.
He's just an amazing guy.
Speaking of skating, talk to us about who skated, who went to the ground, what happened tonight. What do you have for us tonight, Jack? I'd love to have your analysis. Is there an area in particular that you were really focused on tonight?
So actually, Nashville is in a playoff spot right now. They're a bubble team, and they actually do have some things going for them. I think I like the way that they forecheck. I think once they get possession in the ozone, they can really wear you down. The problem with this team is they're on the older and slower side. So we saw as the game went on, the Canadiens use their skating and their passing to really, beat this team into submission. But early in the game, I thought Nashville came in with a two-man forecheck that could have caused some problems. Like, the Habs, they let the shot clock pretty much from the get-go because they were able to get some things off the rush. But, Nashville came in with their two-man forecheck, and it took the Habs maybe 2 or 3 shifts to really adjust. I sent you a visual if you want to put that up, but
there's a couple of visuals that we'll take a look at the top one, but they're both together on the same graphic. Do we have it?
Yeah. So what I sent you was just 2 variations of, what NHL teams use as a two-man forecheck, either a 2-1-2 or a 2-3.
There we go.
Both of them are pretty similar, with the main difference being, in a 2-3, the third forward is a lot higher, right? So it's a little bit more conservative. But in either cases, the fact that you're sending 2 skaters down to disrupt the opposing Ds, which is what Nashville tried to do, that can get you some turnovers early in the game. And we saw a few occasions where the Habs almost got into a bad spot and almost turned the puck over, but they were able to problem solve, pass the puck out of trouble, and then after they took a 1-0 lead, you can see that it was very difficult for Nashville to keep going with that forecheck. And, that sort of the way that the Habs were moving the puck and moving their feet really prevented Nashville from creating any sort of sustained pressure.
Pierre, would you like to add, Jack, by the way, has a hockey tactics book that came out for 2026, and I was able to get my copy, I think all 200 and how many pages, Jack?
To 296.
296 pages, Pierre. But if we could keep that up, Pierre, would you like that?
No, I think Jack described it really well, especially when you're looking at the 2-3. The guy in the middle of the ice has to be really disciplined and smart, especially now with the red line being out, with the stretch pass being available. That's got to be a real disciplined player. And then obviously, when you look at the 2-1-2 forecheck situation, that's well described by Jack, but the body position is what matters the most, so you can funnel guys in the right direction. And based on this schematic, I see exactly what Jack's trying to do in terms of influence the puck carrier. So you always want to channel people inside out with your body and your stick position, but those are all spot on from Jack as far as I thought today.
Red Wings aren't dead yet. 3 minutes and 26 seconds left in regulation. The Red Wings were down by a score of 4-0. They have scored 3 goals in a span of 2.5 minutes. They trail 4-3. 3 goals. Appleton, DeBrincat, and Lucas Raymond. All right, okay. Jack, I'd love to get your thoughts on what you saw from Demidov tonight.
Well, the thing that really allowed Demidov to look great tonight was, again, I talk about how Nashville was on the slower side, which everything is relative, right? Like, obviously, we're talking about an NHL team here, but the fact that Nashville is, first of all, a little bit slow, and also they play more of a zone defense. And Demidov, like a lot of other top offensive players, if you play zone against them and you allow them to get the puck with a little bit of room to operate, they can really hurt you. And this is why, again, the Habs, they play man-on-man in a lot of D-zone situations, and people don't like that, and it looks bad when you get beat. But the advantage of playing tighter, in a man-on-man is when a Demidov gets the puck, you can disrupt them immediately. Whereas tonight, what we saw was, Demidov or Suzuki or Caulfield, they get the puck, they're in between defenders, so there's always somebody sort of running at them, but they can't quite get there. And so, on the goal where Newhook ends up scoring, all 5 Nashville players were in the frame, but none of them were in a position to, neutralize anything, because, the puck was moving around so fast and they didn't know which direction to take their first steps, and they end up puck watching and the puck goes in.
Tony, what Jack's talking about is really accurate. Here's the one thing that really is frustrating as a guy that coached for a long time, broke down a lot of tape. The new strategies are great in a lot of instances. The biggest problem is the fundamentals aren't great. Fundamentals are stick positioning on the ice, body positioning on the ice, awareness of not being a puck watcher, closing down the backdoor lane with your body and your stick. I have never seen more fundamentally inept players playing in the NHL than what I see right now. And part of it is because we put this huge focus on offensive skill development, and we don't teach anything when it comes to playing defense. It's a major issue. None of these guys that are coaching the league today ever watched Jacques Lemaire run a practice. None of them ever did. None of them ever watched Pat Burns run a practice. None of them ever did. None of them ever watched Pat Quinn run a practice. None of them ever did. I'm telling you, it's a major issue. The best teams win because they're fundamentally sound. A lot of these guys are coached up real well offensively. They got all these skills and toe drag and all this other stuff. None of them have learned how to play in their own zone. Zero.
Jack?
Well, I mean, I'll push back on this in the sense that I think for a long time, the reason why we see, teams playing such solid defense, I mean, I watched hockey in the 90s, like I remember what that looked like, was because I think defense was coached a little bit. Offense wasn't really coached at all at a team level. So we had this sort of, in the 90s, it was very sort of, it was a defensive goaltending heavy game, whereas, the winds have shifted, and I think there was a lot of opportunity in teaching offense from a young age. And I think that the factor that most influence how players learn the game and how they play is YouTube, or, the availability of, cable TV and having replays, because, I would hear stories about, me when I was growing up in, the late 90s or early 2000s. If you wanted to study how the best NHLers played, it was tough, right? You had to spend a lot of time recording things on a VHS, or maybe a buddy of yours has a highlight. Like I think I heard a story where Guy Boucher spent like weeks and weeks putting together a mixtape for Sidney Crosby, because Crosby wanted 100 different stick handling moves from NHLers. And I think Guy Boucher was in Rimouski at that time, and it took him weeks and weeks. Whereas today, like if you have the right software, the right video access, you can get that pretty much instantaneously. So,
everything you're saying is right. The only thing you forgot to say is the new rules had changed in 2005 with the red line coming out and zero tolerance and obstruction. So that's what led to this fundamental change in hockey. The rule changes from the Shanahan Summit in 2005. But with all due respect, you're right about that, but that doesn't mean you still can't teach fundamental aspects of defense, because most of these guys have no concept of how to play. Why do you think we've seen so many lead changes in so many games? Tony just brought one up tonight. A major game going on in Detroit tonight. 4-0 lead against Philadelphia. What's the score now, Tony?
It's the Flyers have had an empty netter, guys. It's 5-3 Philadelphia.
It was 4-3, right? Was it 4-3?
3 goals in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, you go look, Jack. That never happened. That never happened.
Maple Leafs, by the way, guys, outshot by 25 or more for the 4th time this season, matching a franchise record set in 83-84 and 2013-2014. We're talking about your old organization there, Jack. Craig Berube, by the way, not very happy guy following the Leafs 5-1 loss tonight, said, we only had one player show up tonight, our goalie. That's it. Only our goalie. Jack, you had a very interesting observation on the Sick podcast early on in the season about Oliver Kapanen. You were convinced that he could have success. You also warned us that it was going to be difficult down the stretch, and it was probably for a better part of about a month or so. It seems to have been turning around in the past week. Jack, what are you seeing?
I mean, he certainly outperformed my expectations. I was of the mind that he was going to be more of maybe a fourth line center, or even, on the outside looking at this point in the season, simply because if you look at his progression, he's on his way to becoming a good NHL player. But I think he found himself, first of all, in a good situation next to Demidov on a permanent basis. And we know how great Demidov is. But second, I think he's really found ways to contribute with his scoring and also winning faceoffs and playing on the PK. So, hats off to him. He's really outperformed my expectations. And, I've coached against him in Liga when I was with Tappara in the Finnish league. He played for Kalpa and we beat them in the playoffs one year. And after that, he was a top player in Finland for 1 year. After that, he was a top player in Sweden. And now he's, a contributing member on an NHL team, which, not every young player is able to take those steps in consecutive years without, tripping themselves up or having a bit of a plateau. So, all credit to him.
What's amazing, Tony, what Jack just said is absolutely right. But the biggest thing is when he was coaching against him in Finland, that kid was probably 16 or 17 years old. So this is part of why development matters so much. People like Jack are important people in the process. But when you watch them play in Timrå last year, he was better than a point-a-game player. To do that in the SHL is an unbelievable thing. To be better than a point-a-game player, right around a point-a-game player, that's an amazing accomplishment.
It definitely is. There's no doubt about it. Okay, guys, Jack, how do you see the fact that other players are starting to take liberties on the Canadiens goalies? It doesn't look like it's a coincidence at this point. Barzal went after Nick Suzuki last week. Wood went after Hudson. They went after Jenner, went after Dobesh. Tonight, Evangelista went after Fowler. How do you see it? Do you think there's Pierre is obviously concerned about it come playoff time, especially if the Canadiens end up playing a team like the Buffalo Sabres in round one, which right now could be a real possibility because, of course, Tampa is 2 points behind Buffalo, but Tampa has 2 games in hand. Jack, reason for concern?
Well, maybe not concerned, but as Pierre said before, I think it's a worthwhile investment to start sort of discussing that or start shoring up that side of things, because whether it is Buffalo, they got guys like Alex Tuch, who'll crash the net, Josh Doan, even Zach Benson as an undersized player, like he's around the net all the time. And then you look at
Malenstein.
Yeah, exactly. Malenstein.
Sam Carrick.
Yeah, I mean, they got more than a few, right? They got more than a few. And even, Tampa, they're a veteran team. They know where the line is in the playoffs better than most. They have some really good skilled players who are sneaky, underhanded when the refs aren't looking. So certainly it doesn't matter which team they play against the playoffs. Certainly, I think now is the right time to start sort of planning for that.
Fantastic stuff, Jack. Thanks so much for that. Why don't we bring up, tonight was a night of some milestones again. Some players got their names in the record books. Shane Gaumont and Master Control, if you can bring up some stats, some players hitting some milestones, some players getting their name in the history books. Okay. Cole Caulfield, guys, 20 goals in 21 Saturday night games this season, or Saturday games this season. Mr. Saturday Night, sickattire.com. Get your Cole Caulfield jerseys. Shane, there we have it. Mr. Saturday Night. We also have them en français, Monsieur Samedi Soir, sickattire.com. I want to thank all of our sponsors. Also, got in a pickleball game last night. I want to give a shout out to Pangash over at Maison Athletique. They are at 2125 Rue Lily Simon, right off of Saint Jacques. And they've been open since about October. It's 90,000 square feet of warehouse, which is now 8 paddle courts, a gym, a soccer field, a beach tennis, 3 pickleball courts, and they're looking into adding another little soccer indoor for probably 3-on-3 or short-sided games. And they're looking into adding another 4 pickleball courts. So you can go to Playtomic on the website or download the app where you can obviously reserve your courts, or you can give them a phone call at 514-834-4404. I am having an absolute blast playing pickleball, and thank you to Eric Engels, who's been talking to me about pickleball for a greater part of a year now. And, you know, it intrigued me, and I said, I got to give this a shot, and I am absolutely hooked. So thank you to Eric Engels for that. A shout out to Insta Customs, Montreal's highest rated print shop with a 4.9 star Google rating and over 3,000 reviews. Ordered today, printed today, picked or shipped today. Custom t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Fast, professional, and done right. Visit instacustoms.com. Stop by their downtown location anytime this week. The Canadiens are back in action tomorrow night. They're in Carolina. Go all the way with Betway and get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account, redeem your welcome offer. Offers only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please, please play responsibly. Gentlemen, I'd like to bring up the event summary. And Jack, what's the first thing that sticks out to you out of the stats? Pierre, you're next. Go ahead, Jack.
A lot of numbers here, so give me bear with me a little bit here. Okay, well look, for me, if you can get 12 shots on net out of your top line, you know, with Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slavkovsky having 4 each, like, that's a good night. If you can get those guys 12 shots, you're probably getting 1 or 2 goals, and that's usually plenty to break a game wide open.
Pierre, I'd add, if I can, if you can get 6 combined points from your number 2 line, that's a pretty good night too, Pierre.
Yeah, that's combined plus 9 too. That stands out to me. That creates, especially when you're on the road, that creates huge matchup issues for the opposition. So they're all focused in on shutting down Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky. So that gives you more room to run with Newhook, Kapanen, and Demidov, and that's what those guys did. They just took all the extra room that was presented to them. Look at the West is no good, and Nashville was a marginal team the first 40 games of the year. In fact, it cost Barry Trotz his job. So I don't know why people are that surprised by this. And they haven't played well the last little while, talking about Nashville. But, you know, just to be fair, that second line ruled the roost tonight. They dominated the game. It was crazy how much better they were than anybody Nashville presented.
Jack, I'd like to bring up the hockey stat card if I can.
Yeah, I mean, as Pierre said, you know, the second line in terms of driving play, in terms of creating shots and preventing shots against, they haven't always been the best of the Habs line, but they were tonight. And I think some of it has to do with specifically how they match up against Nashville. But, you know, if that line can sort of continue to, you know, drive play and spend more time in the ozone and avoid giving up many shots, which sometimes happens, then, you know, that makes life easier for everybody else up and down the lineup.
Tony, Jack's spot on that. I'll give you an example. So tomorrow night they're playing in Carolina.
Yeah.
So Brindamore is going to play Aho against Suzuki. That's what he's going to do. So now he's going to say, well, usually I save Stahl for, you know, this line or that line. So he's going to put Stahl against Demidov and Newhook and Kapanen. That's what he's going to do tomorrow. So now the decision he has to make is who does he play Slavin against? That's got to be, so internally they got to decide who's Slavin going to play against.
Well, against the Suzuki line.
I don't know that. He might not. He may think that Aho can run Suzuki tomorrow night. And I don't mean run by hitting him. I mean run the game for him. And he might put Slavin to play against Demidov. He might want to, because he's going to think like I am. He's been around a long time. We may have to play these guys in the playoffs. And I want this guy to be uncomfortable because I saw what happened last night in Nashville when he got comfortable. And so I'm taking in what old school coaches would think about. because intimidation is still a very real part of the game.
Jack?
It's a very real part of the game.
Yeah. So coming back to Kapanen, right? So I don't know what the matchups are going to be, but is Kapanen going to be able to keep up with Aho, or is he going to be able to physically survive against Stahl, or is he going to be able to outwork Stankoven, right? Like, so it doesn't matter who he's matched up against. Kapanen really has a big job to do, because if his line gets caved in, then the Habs become more of a one-line team, and then it becomes really difficult.
That's
Guys,
what we're talking about. Exactly right.
If we could bring up the stat card one more time, this was Lane Hutson's best game in a while, guys. He was bringing it tonight, and it just goes to show he didn't pick up a ton of points tonight. Lane Hutson, that's not where you're going to see him. But you didn't see the turnovers though either, right? You didn't see any negatives. Like Lane Hutson, he played a much more intelligent game tonight. Didn't take some. We talk about gauging the risk, right? He had an assist in this hockey game. He was a +2. He gauged the risk. He had 3 shots on goal. He had a couple of block shots. He had 1 takeaway. He gauged the risk a lot better tonight than he has in a while. And once again, I talked about how much I like Caden Gooley. He's number 2 on the hockey stat card. I also talked about I really like Veleno tonight. And statistically, he was better than Phil Deneau and Jake Evan in terms of the hockey stat card, in terms of the advanced stats, that is. So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow with Josh Anderson, who left this game because of sickness. And we'll see if he's ready to go tomorrow. And if he's not, at that point, we'll see what happens. There's obviously the option of going and putting Jack Guy in tomorrow night in Carolina. So we'll take a look at that. I have one more thing for you guys here. The point projections, guys. Suzuki, 100 points. He's on pace. Caulfield's on pace for 51 goals. Hudson's on pace for 81 points. Slavkovsky's on pace for 72 points. Demidov's on pace for 64 points. These courtesy of Guillaume Velmer of TVA Sports, their statistician. So on that note, Jack, I want to thank you. I hope you enjoyed your debut on the Habs postgame show. Pierre McGuire, pretty impressive debut for Jack on the
Jack hit it out of the park. Way to go, Jack. It's great to know you, and I look forward to many more visits. Fun talking to you.
Same.
Thank you, guys. Jack Hand, thank you very much. I'll talk to you again. Of course, you'll be part of Le Sick Podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, the way you are. I look forward to having you on more Habs postgame shows, Jack. Thank you very much for the visuals and all your hard work and all this time on a Saturday night. Pierre McGuire, thank you very much as well. Want to thank all of our listeners and all of our viewers. If you like the podcast tonight, hit the like button. If the hype button is there, hit the hype button. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell all your friends and family about it so that they can subscribe as well. For Shane Gaumont and Master Control and the Cavaleros, the Canadiens win by a score of 4-1 on a big night for the second line, who combined for 6 points and +9. Jacob Fowler stops 23 of 24. He picks up the win. Canadiens win 4-1. The Islanders won. The Sabres won. The Bruins won. Tampa Bay won. Detroit, Columbus, and Ottawa lost. The chances of the Canadiens making the playoffs are very, very good. Let's hope another big win tomorrow night in Carolina. The second the game is over, we'll be back on immediately again with your Habs post-game show right here on the Sick Podcast. Have a good night, everyone. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida TB, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.